If you've been watching the show for some time, you'll know how just extensively we cover all things UFO, or UAP as the government now calls it. This show was the first to interview whistleblower David Grush, and he was a former Air Force officer who came forward to claim that the government had secretly recovered alien technology. That was 2 years ago. And now what was then crazy has become something of a unifying topic for lawmakers from both sides of the aisle, to the point where a brand new documentary is being released today about all things UAP, and it's all featuring officials from the very highest levels of the U.S. government. The documentary is called The Age of Disclosure, and it tells the story of an 80-year global cover-up concealing the existence of intelligent alien life and technology. Tonight, we bring you an exclusive clip.
We learned that the U.S. government was involved in a long-running secret war with other nations to collect and reverse engineer vehicles not made by humans.
Some people claim it would cost them their lives if they spoke out about these things.
The first country that cracks the code on this technology will be the leader for years to come. This is similar to the Manhattan Project. This is the atomic weapon on steroids.
If Xi Jinping had access to this, if Putin had access, you think for a second that they wouldn't consider using it to achieve their ends of domination?
Sometimes strategic surprises that change the course of human history.
Dan Farah is the documentary's director and producer, and he joins me now. All right, Dan, I was up way too late watching this entire thing because I literally couldn't stop. Congratulations. It's fantastic. I was struck by this line from one of the people you interviewed. Without a doubt, there has never been a program before that has been so successfully kept out of the public eye as the Legacy Crash Retrieval Program.
Yeah.
What is it?
One of the intelligence officials in the film makes that statement. And, you know, previously the most secretive program was the Manhattan Project, but we found out in hindsight that the Manhattan Project had leaks. So when this program was created, they made it even more secretive and put more security measures in place. And those security measures have ruled the day the last 80 years.
The Legacy Crash Retrieval Program is something that the Air Force does for the most part. They have special units that go out to collect, to retrieve alien spacecraft that have crashed.
Well, the people in my film reveal that the elements of this program are elements of the Air Force, elements of the CIA, elements of the Department of Energy, and military defense contractors.
All right. For decades, they've had these units that go out, and we're not the only ones with these units that are going out to retrieve the stuff.
Yeah.
Russia and China are too. That's the other amazing thing that you reveal in the film, which is that we're in a secret arms race.
Yeah, it's arguably the most shocking of the reveals that there is this high-stakes secret Cold War race to reverse engineer technology of non-human origin that the United States is involved in with adversarial nations like China and Russia.
We think China and Russia both have retrieved alien spacecraft as well.
That's what the officials in my film go on the record stating.
They go on the record, in fact, saying that what in 1989, we think the Soviets retrieved a tic-tac-shaped spacecraft that had crashed.
which was significantly larger than the tic-tac encountered by the Nimitz carrier strike group, and Commander Dave Fravor, who pursued it.
You also have two different astrophysicists in the documentary who say that the government has retrieved at least 2 different alien species, and that one of them made contact with the crash retrieval team. What does that mean? Does that mean it was alive when they captured it?
One of the intelligence officials in the film speaks about an event that happened on a U.S. military base where 2 UAP approached the base. One of them landed, and apparently non-human beings exited the craft and interacted with members of the Air Force and the CIA. Now, here's the thing: these all sound like extraordinary claims that are hard for people to wrap their head around, right?
Yeah.
But these are 34. In my film, there's 34 extremely high-level military, government, intelligence officials, people who have been trusted with very high-level security clearances, people who have been involved in, keeping this nation safe in many different ways, and people who we trust in a lot of scenarios. And these interview subjects range from our Secretary of State to sitting senators to former, Director of National Intelligence, a former Secretary of Defense, leaders from the Pentagon, leaders from the CIA, leaders from the Air Force, leaders from the Navy. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's really hard to ignore what these people are saying.
It's really hard to say this is one kooky person doing this when you have this much experience in every level and every branch of government all coming together on camera to say, not only have we retrieved alien spacecraft, we've retrieved alien remains.
Yeah, and keep in mind, these are people that are not aligned at all ideologically or politically, right? But they're aligned on this. So it's 34 senior officials sharing one truth.
This was something that I did not know, was that during the second Bush presidency, Bush 2, they actually contemplated, they convened a cabinet meeting and debated and discussed for days about whether or not to finally go public with this program, with what they have found and what they have discovered.
So Bush 2 had learned the base facts that we're not alone in the universe and that there have been recoveries of technology of non-human origin. And he was contemplating whether to share that with the world during his presidency. And he put together a think tank. One of the officials in my film was part of that think tank, and he goes on the record about it. They were asked to analyze the impact to various aspects of our society, from religion to the economy, and they all went into it bullish on the idea of disclosure, and after evaluating it, they all decided it was a bad idea.
Why?
For various reasons, just the impact, the place we were as a country following 9/11, they just didn't think it was a good idea. They thought that we weren't ready for it, right? The film also reveals that in Trump's first administration, he contemplated going public in a similar way. One of the officials in my film, high-level intelligence official, goes on record saying that Secretary Mnuchin reached out to him and asked him for a high-level briefing on this topic because he wanted to know what the economic repercussions might be.
No, I love that part of it because he says, do you want to know why I'm asking you?
Yeah.
And he's like, why? He said, because I need to figure out what's going to happen to our economy if we come out as a government and say, aliens exist, aliens are here, and we have them.
Yeah. And obviously they made the same decision Bush 2 did, which was to not go public, right? To keep it internal to the people who know.
There was one part of the documentary I wanted more information on. You interview a former military analyst who said that he and others who had interactions with the UAPs are now suffering physical effects. What interactions did they have?
Yeah, so one of the, to be honest, not so shocking reveals is that intelligence officials who have had encounters with UAP end up having biological effects. And I say not surprising because this is technology that we don't understand fully, that is emitting a lot of energy. And in the same way that if you stand behind the back of a
so he came close
fighter
to
jet, you're going to get hurt.
He came close to one of these.
Yeah, came close to multiple UAP and ended up having biological effects.
And yet, because so much of this information is classified, none of them can go on camera and say what they saw specifically.
Yeah, not specifically. So look, the reality of it is, for 80 years, all of this has been kept from the public, Congress, and even sitting presidents. And I think that really changes today when this movie comes out and the public learns the truth finally. And my hope is it sets the stage for the president finally stepping up and telling the world the base facts, that we're not alone in the universe and what he knows is going on.
At the very least, he'll convene maybe a cabinet meeting in which then they'll all say, no, would it be?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the world is more prepared for this
I think
now.
we're ready for it. I think the people can handle the truth.
Okay, last question. You point out in the documentary, I found this very, very intriguing, but you point out that we as humans have only mapped about 27% of Earth's oceans. We know more about the surface of the moon and the surface of Mars than we do about our own oceans.
Yeah.
And you have several of these astrophysicists and intelligence officials saying, you know what? It's possible these objects, these UAPs, UFOs, whatever you want to call them, aren't coming from outer space. They might be coming from the ocean.
Yeah, I mean, look, moreover, we have senior members of the House Intelligence Committee going on the record saying that the craft seen coming out of the ocean are otherworldly things. They straight up say on camera, these are not rockets, they're not aircraft.
They're moving at hundreds of miles an hour underwater,
They're
which
otherworldly
is inconceivable.
things defying physics as we know it. And then retired Admiral Gallaudet, who was the chief oceanographer of the United States Navy, he is the one who states, that fact you just shared, and that he makes the point of if you were an intelligent species from somewhere else and you wanted to hide from humanity, the most obvious place would be our oceans.
Right, that's where you got to hide. Wow, it's a fascinating documentary. It's on Amazon Prime Video starting tonight. It's also in theaters. Dan, congratulations. It's called The Age of... I'm not
The
gonna
Age of
say
Disclosure.
innocence. I almost said
The Age of
innocence. I was
Disclosure,
like,
yeah.
you can tell I've got Friday brain.
Prime Video worldwide, theaters New York, Los Angeles, and DC.